Hello, and thank you for joining me. My name is John Maris Coots, and I coordinate the California Career Resource Network program at the California Department of Education. This presentation will provide a brief overview of CalCurrent resources with suggestions for how to begin using them with your students. My contact information will be posted on the last slide if you have questions or want additional information. Due to the brevity of the workshop today, I will be using screenshots rather than showing resources live. This PowerPoint presentation and a one-page resource overview are available in the Educating for Careers conference website. CalCurrent provides a variety of resources for both educators and students. Primary tools for educators are lesson plans and quick start guides to help engage students in these tools. We also have a number of hard copy student guides, as well as student web tools and student mobile apps. Our home site is primarily oriented towards educators at www.californiacareers.info. It has links to all CalCurrent resources. And what I want to highlight today is, as I already mentioned, quick starts and lesson plans. We currently have posted a set of 47 standards aligned lesson plans spanning grades 5 through 12. The lessons are organized by grade, but we've worked at making them flexible enough that they really can be used across grades. At the lower grade levels, there's a lot more about the self-awareness and learning about oneself and the world of work. And by the later ends, upper grades, students will be more engaged in developing a post-secondary plan that we call a career action plan. Right now, the lessons are being updated and will soon be reposted or may have been reposted by the time you see this. And so all of the lessons, full lesson plan is available. The student handouts are posted separately in both English and Spanish. These lessons and all of CalCurrent's resources are intended to help students answer the traditional historical career readiness or career exploration lessons, questions, who am I, where am I going, how do I get there, and what skills do I need? The lessons also help gauge students and both CalCurrent resources as well as other state and national resources. Also on our homepage are the Quick Start Guides. Quick Start Guides are mostly a one-page handout, PDF that's available to share with students so that they can begin using all of the resources I'm going to speak with you about today. We also have 3 PDFs that can be downloaded and printed out. One of those PDFs is one of our newer resources called Exploring Career Options Workbook. We were asked at one point to come up with a non-internet type resource, and so we've developed this guide, which again assists students in answering that questions of who are you in relation to the world of work, where are you going in terms of occupations that make some sense for you, how do you get there in terms of education and training required, how do you succeed in the long term, looking at employability skills, and then putting it all together, that is creating that career action plan. So those are all resources that are on our homepage. The first of the student resources I want to share today is the California Career Center. The California Career Center functions as kind of a virtual counselor for students in that it provides a lot of information as a counselor would, and it also provides them a place to save information and engage in career exploration activities. It's really divided into 2 primary sections. A big piece of the site is lots of content to help students understand options in middle and high school for courses or extracurricular activities. There's a section on exploring career options with tools for learning how to explore a career, as well as ideas for career options that students might not have been thinking about, such as non-traditional careers or skilled trades careers, military careers, etc. In getting a job, we just provide the basics that anyone would need to get their first or future jobs. Education and Training provides all of the post-secondary options that a student could choose from for further education and training, whether it's a 4-year degree, a 2-year degree, training in the military, what have you. Those are all shared on that page. In challenges, we look at challenges that students face as they're navigating middle and high school, whether they're migrant students or LGBTQ students. We have resources speaking to them. Money management begins looking at the basics of financial literacy, and we have a variety of videos to provide additional information. The My Stuff student account is a free, completely free account. And once students set it up, they can have it as long as they desire. We will never take that account away. They will have access to it as long as they want. If they choose to not have it at some point, then that will be their choice, but nothing that we would do. The student account has a variety of options to it. Under the Explore tab, they will see pages saved for them on their site based on why they said they're using the site in their profile. The high school plan gives them an opportunity to create a brief narrative plan to get them thinking about navigating middle to high school. The career action plan is really one of our primary tools. The career action plan is the post-secondary plan that students can create. When they log in with their site, the career action plan that is posted online provides a set of instructions and prompts and links to help them create a plan. And that is similar to the situation with Job Central. In Job Central, they will be given prompts to help them set up a basic resume, as well as create a master job application. And they'll also be able to create job search letters. Favorites functions just as any bookmark or favorites option you'd find on a page where they can save sites. Documents is unique in that it provides a free online portfolio option. Students can upload an unlimited number of documents into their documents folder with a limit on the size of each document being 2 megabytes, but they can upload as many as they want. Lessons is where a educator can create a lesson plan based on site content and assign it to the students, and they would see that in the lessons folder. And then managing their account gives them the option of revising their profile or looking at how they have things set up. The My Stuff student account is really is available in 2 places. So there are both web and app versions of both the Career Action Plan and Job Central. So students, if they've set up an account online and then downloaded the app, any editing they do, as long as they're logged in either location, if they update their Career Action Plan on their phone, the edit will show up on the website. Similar with Job Central, if they update their resume in either location or their master job application, that update would show up both online and within the mobile app. We also have a standalone app called the Career Surfer mobile application. The Career Surfer mobile application provides students an easy to get into career exploration process by using a device that is familiar to them, their phones. It holds both an interest profiler, which they can save the results, and so have the app be ready to for continued exploration, whenever they come and go. There are really snapshot profiles of over 900 occupations with information about salary, brief description, tasks that job entails, and preparation required, training, college, whatever the case may be. This and all apps are text-to-speech enabled. They can also search in a variety of ways. If they're thinking about an income or wanting to look for something that requires a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree or training, they can also just select Surprise Me, or in kind of a fun way, given that it's a phone, they can just shake the phone and see what occupation comes up for them. Our primary resource for students is the California Career Zone. The California Career Zone is a fully featured career information delivery system that provides students, again, with a free account. And once they set up the account, we will never take it away. It's a separate account from the Career Center because this is a separate site, and the features within both of those sites require them to be standalone websites. Once they set up a California Career Zone account, they can engage in creating a future lifestyle budget to help them think about the kinds of jobs that pay the lifestyle they'd want to undertake. There are also 4 assessment options. 2 of them help students understand their REASEC or Holland Code, which is familiar to most in the career information world. They can also take the Work Importance Profiler or the Skills Profiler. Most of the information on the site, as well as the assessments, were developed by the Department of Labor ONET system. So the assessments in particular, you may find familiar if you've used other resources similar to this, because most of us get the information from the same place at the Department of Labor. All of the occupations in the site are organized under California's 15 industry sectors and career pathways. So students who may be in a pathway at your school site and wonder what options are available to them if they continue in a pathway or before they choose a pathway, they can explore occupations based on pathways. Also, the Career Hub is what we call the student account. Once they set up that account, they can save assessment results, and they don't have to take all of the assessments and budgets, but in a moment, I'll give you a suggestion for how they can get started. They can also review a summary report that'll show them the results of assessments they have taken, budgets they've created. The cool thing in the site, if they take multiple assessments, then they will be able to see which occupations match 1, 2, or 3 of the profiler assessments. Additionally, once they're in the site, they can create resumes and business letters. Within the job search function, they can look for apprenticeships, internships, as well as actual jobs. We rely on a couple of national job source databases, and so they're updated by those national sites, so the content is always current. We also pull down post-secondary information from the National Center for Education Statistics. So if a student is searching for that information, the system defaults to California, but they can search anywhere in the country for post-secondary options. Along with a free student account is a free educator account. Educators with that account, and I think maybe the biggest reason to make use of it is we've uploaded a series of training modules that will help you understand all of the features in the site and help you understand how to begin using them with students. And I think can just be a really useful way to get started using the site. If you choose to, you can track students' activity in the site. As I said, all of this and everything I'm sharing today is free. Within the free statewide site, educators are limited to tracking 50 students at a time, but they can add and subtract students at any time. And doesn't matter if they're tracking or not tracking, it doesn't impact the students' site of their own account or their own site. It just allows the educator to take a peek inside, and then they can create reports and they can assign lesson plans. I'm not going to go into it today, but there are options to pay for additional features, which are available through Headed 2, who is the company that provides the site to us on the statewide basis. And I suggest if you have a question about that, as I said, my email will be at the end of this presentation. So how do we get started using these variety of resources? Well, we're going to back up to the career and college readiness lesson plans. We have 2 relatively new lesson plans that we added to the site at the beginning of the pandemic. And so what we did is we took a couple of lessons. We revised one lesson and created a new lesson that are easy to implement in a distance learning environment. So one lesson is called Matching Interest in Careers. It includes an online activity, and that online activity is making use of the California Career Zone to think about how they can to begin that career exploration process and identify occupations that are of interest. Exploring Career Options makes use of the Exploring Career Options PDF workbook that I shared with you. So that is an offline activity where a student doesn't need to have as much internet connectivity to create a product. So those lesson plans, again, are available on the CalCURN, CaliforniaCareers.info website, the lesson plans page, and they're posted at the top of that page under distance learning lessons. Next, we'll go back to the California Career Center. So you may recall, hopefully recall, the California Career Center is a virtual counselor for students to help engage them in career exploration and planning. We recommend that you can begin using this site by having students complete a student project of creating a career action plan. To do this, they would need to set up a MyStuff student account on the website. They could also download the MyStuff CAP mobile app. We recommend starting with the online account because once they log into the online account, they will find detailed instructions for how to complete each section of the plan. So the plan asks them to think about occupations in terms of interests using the career zone, occupations in terms of finances using the career zone. Then they narrow it down to an occupation to explore, use the Occupational Outlook Handbook to find details about how to get into an occupation, then explore where they can get the required education or training, think about experiences they've had or can plan to have to prepare them for a particular occupation, and it just walks them through all of the steps of creating a plan. The plan can be edited and revised at any time. It can be downloaded as a Word document or a PDF at any time. And once a student is completed a plan to submit to you, again, they can either just download it as a Word or PDF and then send it to you so you can see the results of their planning activity. We are adding a system this year that a student will be able to share online through their account with educators. But right now, as I'm doing this workshop, the option is to have them download and then share their career action plan with you. Again, once a student is logged in to their account on the Career Center, they will see the option for choosing the career action plan. The next student focused account that is linked in as kind of a part of the Career Center is MyStuff Job Central. So our recommendation for getting started on using MyStuff Job Central is to have students create a resume. We've created a resume template that is really focused on young people and acknowledges that they likely don't have a lot of the experiences that a traditional resume might ask them for. We're assuming they're not going to have a college degree or military experience. So there are many prompts on the site that would help a high school student or any new worker to create a resume, thinking about experiences that they've had that maybe not be a paid traditional kind of job experience, but work at home, work in the community, volunteering. So we really did go to lengths to try to make it a resource that young people would find easy to make use of and navigate. So in order to create a resume, a student would set up a MyStuff Job Central account online. That's the same password and information as with the Career Center Career Action Plan account. They would download the MyStuff Job Central mobile app and then log into the online account. They're certainly welcome to use the mobile app. I think the online account is just a little bit easier to navigate for the initial creation of a resume. And then once they've created the resume, they can either download it as a PDF, or there's actually an option built into the site where they're given a unique URL so they can post the resume online for your review. Another feature of the site as they're creating the resume since most of the information used to create a resume is also relevant for a master job application. So as students create a resume, they are also creating a master job application, which that information will also be available online or on their phones. So the idea is if a student was someplace and saw a job opportunity, and wanted to, and had a short application timeline, they could bring up their phone and be reminded of all of the things that they've done that would be relevant to applying for that job, rather than having to run around trying to recall what they had done. So that's within My Stuff Job Central. This is what the landing page for My Stuff Job Central. You can see that there's an option for creating a resume and master job application all in one time. They can create also as an additional project, an informational interview request, or a cover letter for submitting an application packet, or a reference request to find folks who will provide references for a job, as well as a thank you letter to send to those people who were involved in their job search process. And again, all 4 of those letter types are available as a template that will help young people create a professional and polished looking letter. The last resource we want to help you get started with, again, is our primary tool, the California Career Zone. So there's really 2 steps to this activity. First, we would again highly recommend that you set up a free educator account so that you can access the professional development modules. We do have a variety of webinars that describe the site and describe the features, but the professional development modules were developed to give you bite-sized pieces of all of the aspects of the site so you can understand how to use the site with students. Once you've got a handle on how the site works, then the student project would be to begin the process of career exploration. To do this, they would set up a student account. It's very easy and simple to do. It's immediately available to them. And as soon as they set up a student account, they would complete what we call the Make Money Choices budget activity, which helps them think about the kind of lifestyle they like to live in the future and what kinds of jobs pay for that lifestyle. Then they would complete the interest profiler, which helps identify occupations that match what kind of interest they have in carrying out in the world of work, whether they want to do something in the social realm, teacher or social worker, or something more in the business world of entrepreneurship. Then, once they've completed those 2 activities, they are able to explore occupations that match both their budgets and their interests. The reason that we recommend they do the budget first is then after they've completed the interest profiler, the results list will show them occupations that match both their interests and pay the budget, that the salary that they're interested, and that'll be signified by a nice little piggy bank on the profile list for all of those occupations. Then what they can do from that is, once they've completed some the budget and the profiler and explored some occupations, they can download their summary report, which shows the results of those assessments and also gives information on the occupations that match that work. And so that can be downloaded and then shared with you as an educator. As I mentioned earlier, it's possible to set it up so that you can look at student accounts. It's a pretty easy process to make that link. On the free site, again, it's limited to 50 students per educator, and there are some funded options if you need to interact with more students. But I think the summary report does provide a pretty easy way for a student to share their work on the site with you. This is a look at the Career Zone Educator account. The educator account landing page and the student landing page look very similar. The educator page just has additional management tools, as you can see in the top navigation. The educator code is what an educator uses to link with a student. You can see how many users you are monitoring, and you can manage users. You can actually assign students usernames and passwords if you want to have that capacity, and you can develop lessons. What you can see in the middle of the screen are the three primary ways that a student or you could navigate the site. Discover possibilities is where you find the assessments and the budgeting activity. Explore industry sectors is where you can see all of the occupations organized under California's CTE industry sectors. And my summary report is the option for students to download a report of all of the work they've done on the site. The section that says John's stuff is where a student would see recent work that they've done, maybe receive suggestions for work they could still do, and they can select I want to get to the assessments and budgeting if they want to go use that feature. On the right, where it says Your Edge is just a repeat of the educator code on a student page. That would be where a student would enter that code, which would automatically link them to your site. Again, we've given you a real quick overview. I think maybe a lot of information, hopefully clear, around our career exploration resources. Our home site is available and really targeted towards educators. The California Career Center is a student-facing site. My Stuff Job Central is a student-facing site. Our three mobile applications are intended for student use, and then the California Career Zone is our primary tool for students to really dig into exploring careers and making post-secondary plans. My contact information, you can see at this point in time, the telephone's a little bit complicated. It's really easier to find me at my work email, jmerris@cde.ca.gov. It's my Department of Education email address, and I do monitor that closely. So if you need additional information or have questions, if I didn't cover something clearly enough for you today, please do not hesitate to contact me, and we can set up a call or figure it out by email. I appreciate all of the work that you are doing out there, and we hope that our resources can be helpful to you and really help your students engage in meaningful career exploration work. Thanks very much.